Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me at this time. My name is Shavi Zane, and I'm coming on to bring a message for the chosen. If you find that this resonates with you in any way, please be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and let us know how it resonates with your circumstance. So, first of all, chosen, I want to talk to you all about a dream that I had last night. It was a very interesting dream. So, I was in a forested area, it was like a forest preserve, and I remember seeing this lion. It came running up to me and I became very excited. But you could tell it was like a young lion because it didn't look like it was, it just had a youthful appearance about it. But it was really excited. And so I wasn't afraid of it. But there were other people in the forest preserve and I looked over at them and I was like, oh my goodness, do y'all see the lion? So it ran up to me and it gave me something. I just don't remember what it gave me. And so this man and woman, they were elders, a Muslim, a melanated man and woman. They walked up to me and the man said, come here, I want to show you something. And so he had a long walking stick in his hand. So he took me over to this group of women and one woman was sitting down and he took the stick and he lifted up the hem of her skirt. He was testing to see if her skirt was long enough. Now, her skirt was so long that it came down past her feet and was touching the ground. So he lifted up the bottom of her skirt just to test it to see if it was long enough with the stick. And then he looked at her and he shook his head at her like, job well done. So then he walked further down. He took me a little bit further down to another group of ladies. And there was one Muslim woman who was making a dress, and there was a couple of others who was actually trying on the dress. So the one who was trying on the dress, it was a very nice dress. It came down to about her shin. So it was a little bit above her ankles, but it stopped at the shin. And she looked really beautiful in a dress. And I just remember thinking like, wow, this dress is gorgeous. I will wear that. And this man, when I tell you he shamed her so hard, he told her he yelled at her and he said, you look disgusting. You look like a whore. And so the woman, she broke down crying and she ran into the back. And the woman who was actually making the dress, she gathered her materials and she started crying and she ran, behind the other woman. So originally, as I was telling you all, there was another woman that walked up to me with that same man. And so the man walked away. And so I went to the woman and I said, excuse me, can I just ask you a question? And she said, sure. So I said, how does it feel to have to be someone that you're not? And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, the demeanor. Oh, and actually, I forgot to say, the woman actually went behind the man and told the women, go change your clothes. And so she, picked up where he left off. And that's why I asked her, can I ask you a question? How does it feel to be someone that you're not? And I says, but this is not your normal. I could tell that that's not who you are as far as being very aggressive. And she said, I understand what you're saying. She said, no, I don't like being this way. But she said, there are people who are above me, the higher ups who are above me. And if I don't correct them and it gets back to the higher ups, then they're going to come at me. So apparently this elder woman, she had a position where she was supposed to keep the other, like the younger Muslim women in check, so that those who were above her wouldn't chastise or snap on her for not doing her job. And so I said to her, a scripture came to mind just out of nowhere. And I was like, don't bring your children to wrath. That's what I said. But I didn't say the entire scripture. I just remember saying, don't bring your children to wrath. And she finished the scripture with me. And she was like, you're very wise. And so we ended up walking over to a car. And there were two children in the car. And I got in the car with her. And I'm not sure where we were headed, but I remember sitting in the back seat and looking out the window. And I got a message in my mind from the Most High that said, she doesn't know it yet, but you are actually going to be the one that teaches her. And I remember just kind of smiling to myself, and that's when I woke up. So This dream was pretty interesting, y'all, because if we go back, we're starting off in a forest, and there's this lion that's running towards me, which for me, the lion represents your courage, how bold you are, and the fact that, you're not to be messed with, right? But I think that because in the dream, the lion seemed to be very young, the elders who were of the Islam faith felt like, okay, I see the potential. I can mold this one. They're still young enough to be molded. But right away, the flaws of how they were teaching and executing their belief systems was highlighted through the anger of the elderly man and how he approached the women. He was more than satisfied with the first woman whose dress fell over her feet. Like, I mean, if she would have gotten up and started walking, she would have been tripping over that dress every 5 seconds. That's how long it was. And he was more than satisfied with that. So much so that he had to actually test the length just to make sure that it was long enough, when you can clearly see that it was beyond long enough, right? But then he moves over to the other women. They're being creative, right? The woman was actually making the dress, and the dress was beautiful. But because it didn't hit her ankles, or actually beyond her ankles, it hit her shin, he called her a whore. And he told her that she looked disgusting. Like, he really broke the woman down who was trying on the dress, and even further broke down the woman who was making the dress. And the woman, the elderly woman, went behind him to even further chastise them, right? But I was able to observe this. And in my observation, because remember, they called me over to them because they had something to teach me, right? The man said, come here, let me show you something. Now, mind you, in the dream, I was wearing a pair of jeans and a t-shirt when they walked up to me when I was looking at the lion in the forest. And so I guess he felt like, okay, I'm going to show you the modesty of the women who are a part of the Islam faith. I'm going to show you how, I guess, godly they are because of their attire, right? But at the same time, while he was trying to show this to me, what he really showed me was, it's all about, and I'm not putting down the Islam faith, but I'm saying this is a common theme that has to be corrected, where too often it's about the attire, it's about the physical appearance, it's about the presentation, and that is supposed to be the how you define a person's relationship to the Most High, how they present themselves, because the woman who had the dress on that came well past her feet, she could have had a heart of straight wickedness, or she could have had a heart of gold, but her attire would not have determined that. And then the woman who had the dress on that came down to her shin, as well as the woman who was making the dress, they could have had a heart of gold and could have been very well disciplined. But this man tore them down to the point where not only did this woman not want to express her creative gifts anymore, but the other woman who was trying it on, now she felt like her self-esteem had been, triggered. Now she's feeling less than. Now she's being labeled as a whore because she's wearing something that did not meet his standards. Not the Most High, because this man was clearly not the Most High, but it did not meet his standards. And so when I addressed the elder woman and asked her respectfully, like, do you like being this way? Because I can see another side of you, and this is not who you are. She knew what I was saying, because she addressed the fact that she had to be that way in order to avoid feeling the wrath of those people who are above her. So it's like a domino effect where each level of being who's a part of some of these religious structures, if you're not being chastised by this one, then the one who's above you is chastising you and making you feel less than, But it's all based on surface things. It's based on surface appearance. and how you're presenting yourself, but not as much emphasis on what's going on internally. Matter of fact, there's this energy where some people get so deeply involved in the physical appearance that they will tear you down and not even know your heart. And so when we got into the car and the Most High gave me that message and said, you're here to teach her, she just doesn't know it yet. That's when I knew it was like, a lot of times people assume that you don't have a divine assignment, or that you don't possess wisdom, or that you need to be taught and reared up by them. Why? Because you have two people who were elders, right? Not only were they my elders, but they was also deeply involved in a faith that they had been given ranking in, right? So in their mind, they felt, okay, I'm her elder and I'm also a leader in this faith. And so because I dress the part and chronologically my age plays the part, and based on my personal experience in this faith, I have been given this role, then she's to be my student and I'm to be her teacher, but not realizing that it was actually going to be the other way around. The Most High had a totally different plan laid out for them that they did not have a clue about. And so I feel like the car, me getting into the car with this woman, was a representation of, going for the ride. You don't really know where the Most High is taking you and why you encounter certain people, or why you're observing certain things. But if you go for the ride, the Most High will give you the message as to why you're being taken in a particular direction. And I feel like this could be a message directly for someone who has gotten involved in a particular religious faith, whether it's Islam or otherwise, and you're not really sure why you was guided down that path. But the more that you awaken, you have been given some like face-to-face direct observation of the flaws of that particular faith, right? You're starting to see that it's too shallow. It's based on appearance. It's based on, just surface expectations. But even the leaders, you might even find that some of the leaders who you might have looked up to, those who are the elders of that particular faith, they're bitter. Their heart is wax cold, and they don't have any compassion. And they're so concerned about the physical appearance that it's starting to bleed through in their appearance, like the expression on their face and how they talk and how they address people. It just shows you that it's all about maintaining a facade, and it's less about what's going on within the heart of that person. But they've gotten so fixated on tradition that they can't see past their own hang-ups. And you, as the youth, the up-and-coming lion, the youthful lion, who's still excited to explore, right? You're coming in bold and courageous and fearless, and you're coming in with a message. You're coming in to express a truth that they're ready for it, because the Most High would not have placed you in the environment and given you the message of you're their teacher. They just don't know it yet. They're ready for it. They just don't know they're ready for it. And you may even sense some resistance. But at the end of the day, those who are supposed to take the narrow path, regardless of what faith they have been submerged in, regardless of what tradition they have walked by for many years, regardless of what ranking they have been able to acquire, regardless of their age, background, whatever the case may be, those who are meant to take the narrow path are all being gathered together. And they're going to find that you, of all people, the one who's wearing jeans and a t-shirt, the one who is the young lion who they feel doesn't have enough experience, is already coming in with a wealth of wisdom that only you can bring to these particular people. And it's going to help them. It's going to heal them. It's going to be a mirror. You're going to be that mirror that reflects something back to them to show them, like, this is not you. This is who you've been conditioned to become. This is what you've been conditioned to believe, but this is not you. And just like the elderly woman, she said, you're right. You're very wise. But she knew that the only reason why she had become that way, why her heart had waxed cold, or why she had to present herself in such a way, is because others who were above her expected her to be that way. And if she wasn't, then she would be chastised herself. And so it does show that there has been a poison in a lot of these religious traditional, belief systems. There's a poison that has been running rampant that is so fixated on shallow and surface things that they forget that the heart of a man or a woman is what the Most High looks at. And obviously there's a certain amount of modesty that you might present. You're not going to walk around with a bra and underwear on. You're not going to walk around with your pants sagging and your behind out. But I think people tend to forget that it's not the wrapping of a package. It's what's inside of the package that counts. It's what's inside of the package that counts. And you will completely bypass a earth angel, assuming that they have to look a particular way. They have to believe in a particular religion. They have to be a particular age. A person will completely bypass blessings and an opportunity to learn and to receive divine messages from the Most High because they're so fixated on what someone looks like. And so you all out there chosen are the teachers that have been prepared, for this day and age, for this time that we're in right now. And even though some people might say, but you're a babe, but you're too young, but you just got on this walk. You came in with a wealth of wisdom because it was already implanted in your DNA. It was already meant that the moment that you awakened, that you would also come into remembrance of all of that wisdom that would eventually be shared with others who need to hear it. And so don't allow society to get you caught up in this whole thing about appearance and how you're supposed to present yourself or what is your ranking and all of these other things. Just know that there are people out here who are hungry. They are hungry and they've been feeding on particular things for many years, particular belief systems, traditions, customs for many years, and still don't understand why their soul is still feeling malnourished. And it's because they haven't dived deep enough to recognize that what they've been learning is surface things that has allowed them to get along, It's allowed them to fit in. That's what they've learned. Surface things that allowed them to look the part. But internally, what's going on is not matching the exterior. And so the Most High is in a place now where it's like no more exterior, no more surface folks. The Most High wants the core, all the way down to the core, the soul of that person to be purified. And for that to be a direct reflection of who they are from the inside out, as within, so without, not from the outside in. So that's my message for you all. I love you, and I hope this brought you the clarity that you might have been seeking. If you find this resonates with you in any way, please be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Let us know how it resonates with your circumstance. And if you have anything to add to my dream, let me know. I'll be interested in reading your comments here. I'll talk to you all next time.